Hello there everyone, and let's get started with the strings. So here is my file that I'll be using for the strings. Let me expand it a little bit, and you might be wondering why I'm not getting into full screen. Now there are two reasons behind that. The first, when I do move to the full screen, the coding part where I write the code actually moved to the far left part, and which is not the point of focus on the screen. And the second is most important because the Xcode does crash quite a lot and it makes my video go off out there. I have to re-record, and this time I'm not gonna re-record for these crashing because they happen quite a lot. It's completely okay. These are in the beta. I'm expecting 8.1 or 8.2 is gonna be far more stable than this. But again, when I design an app or things like that, then it's less crashing compared to the playgrounds. Okay, enough of the side discussion. Let's move on and delete things. So all what we are gonna discuss here is gonna be strings. So strings, as you can already know, are quite easy. So let's just say I call this as a my string. There we go, and assign some value to the string. Let's just say this is a string. So there we go, and let's edit this as well. Okay, so this is a string. So this is how you define a string. It's pretty simple, and you just give a variable a name and just hold a string in the double quotes. So everything inside the double quotes is a string. Now technically you can also call this as a set of characters. Now I would like to make a point to all those people who are coming from the Objective-C or still are a big fan of Objective-C. Now swift3 is kind of a bridge between the foundation's NSString class. So you can still found NSString class out there. All you have to do is wrap around the string object inside the pair of parentheses and write NSString just outside for it. So this was for all the folks who are still the fan of Objective-C. Now for all those who are just learning for the first time or are just starting with the Swift, maybe later on or just now, just come back here. That was not for you. Okay, so this is the string in the double quotes, and that's all about it. Now there will be times where you will be needing something known as empty string. So let's just call this as empty string, and you will be needing that quite a lot. Now there are a couple of ways. The first one is obviously you can just say something like this. This is gonna be string, so that's completely okay. But sometimes you do need the string but an empty string. So the one method is to just simply put a double quotes out there, no spaces, nothing at all. This is an empty string, literal. Yes, there is another way. For example, I can say one more empty string, and I can use this method out there, and just like that. Now this is a method called constructor. Some people call it as initializer as well. This is also a completely valid syntax. So all the three methods that I've shown you, the colon method for the string, this pair of parentheses method, or this empty method, are perfectly valid to have an empty string. And there are a couple of ways by which you can check if the string is empty or not. Let's just use the if syntax out there, and in the if syntax I can check out for, let's just say, one more empty string, and I can check it using .isEmpty and can write the code for that. So let's just say I'll simply say something like this is empty, and there we go. So you can see it says this is empty because isEmpty does check for the empty string, and it's pretty useful and pretty out there. Okay, now the important question that you will be asking me, are string constants or the variables? So because in the Objective-C there used to be two different cases with the string. Are the string mutable or are the strings not mutable? Now let me tell you very quickly that this is an easy case. You must have already figured it out. If you declare your string as changeable, it will change. If you declare your string as a constant, it will not change. For example, let's call it as change, and let's assign something to it. Let's just say literally something, and let's just say let, and I'm gonna say not changeable, and there we go. And it's gonna say simply like not gonna change. So there we go. you got your answer. If you start it with the var, that means it's variable. If you start it with the let, it means it's a constant and it's not changeable. So for example, if I later on decide to change it to, let's say, else or something else, it's perfectly okay. But if I do try to change not changeable to something, and it's gonna give us the error. So let's wait for it, and there we go. And if I click on this, it says, hey, you're making a mistake, cannot change the value not changeable because it's a let. So what I would like to do here is just comment that out. Okay, so strings are mutables and you can just work on them just like that. But again, you still have Objective-C methods, and you do have the availability of the classes NSString and NSMutableString as well. Okay, so this is one thing that we have done, and let's try to work on with a little bit more. So for example, I have here, let's just say one string, this is my string or something. Let's just choose the something is there, and I want to loop through with the something. Looping has become much more simpler and easy in the swift3 because they are now just focusing on one loop, that is for in loop, or some people call it as for each loop as well. It's pretty much the same. So let's just say you want to iterate over each character in the string. It's pretty simple. Let's just say for char in whatever the string that you are looking for. For example, let's just say change dot, and you can see there are options available, and one of them is the characters. There is a s at the end. Now most of the time you'll be using the autocode suggestion, so don't need to be worried about. And let's just say I want to print the char. There we go. Let's just say simply save it, and noticing at the bottom it says else here. Now why it says else? Because the change was being changed to the else. If I just comment this out for a moment, it now says something. So there we go, we have iterated over each character. But do make sure that you use the method of the characters. Now it's not required that you use it into a variable, you can just use it directly on the go. It's built in into the string. So let's just say if I say repeat after me or something like that, it's gonna iterate over characters as well. There we go, it says repeat after me, so it's just repeating after me. Okay, so this is pretty interesting. And one more thing that we are gonna focus is the operations on the string. So it comes up with a default many function, but right now we want to focus on the concatenation of the string. So let's just say I have two strings, the my string and the change. So I do want to concatenate them, so I'll create a new string, and new string is gonna be a combination of this is a string plus something. So how can I do so? It's pretty simple. I can either use my string and add it to the change. There we go. And now the value in the my string is this is a string something. I can actually do one more thing. I can add space out there and can add plus here too. It adds a space there. So now I'm adding three things: my string, which is stored inside a variable, then a space, which is actually a string and can change, and I can write words here as well. So this is another string, so I can write something like that as well. Okay, it's gonna load up. It's running. It says running and running. Please do load up quickly. It's still taking time. Okay, now finally awaken. It says this string, this is string, another something. Okay, doesn't really make sense, but yes, you got the idea how the things are being out there. Okay, so it's pretty simple. And the last thing that I would like to discuss is the string interpolation. I have talked about it earlier as well, but still I would like to do so. So let's just say var value, value, I need to learn to write value, and is 12, and I want to write it inside my string as well, or let's just say any print message out there. So it's pretty simple. You can just use the print syntax, and then in the double quotes you have to say simply like the value is, and then you use backslash, pair of parentheses, and then you write value inside it. And this is it. This is the string interpolation. Means you are interpolating value from somewhere. Like in this case, this is not an ordinary value. this syntax, this slash and the pair of parentheses, actually says this is not an ordinary value. You have to look up in the program and find out a value and replace this word with that value. So this is all about the string interpolation. So strings are really powerful, and the reason why they are powerful because they do come up with a variety of inbuilt functions just like the characters. There will be tons of others as well. We will discuss them later on. Right now this is enough for us. Let's move on.